Good day, everyone. I'm only here for about 3 minutes from now. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Jasmine, and I work in IMPA's administration team on all things sustainability and education. I have been privy to the journey on which IMPA SAVE has been since its beginning in 2020. And so we thought it fitting to provide just a brief introduction to the initiative, who we are, what we do, why we do it, for those in the audience who may be coming across this program for the very first time. IMPA SAVE was established 3 years ago, as I said, by a very strong group of global ship owners and maritime suppliers, representing companies with a combined fleet of more than 1,000 vessels and a massive collective purchasing power. Many of them are with us today in this room, and you will be able to listen and hopefully meet them throughout the day. The idea has always been simple: bringing members from the industry together under SAVE and creating opportunities not only to share knowledge on sustainable practices, but also to motivate each other to be better stewards of the ocean by committing and impact reporting. The aims: lowering our industry's carbon footprint, protecting the environment, and reducing resource consumption. So how exactly does IMPA SAVE work? Through the initiative, we develop streams of work areas to which shipping companies and maritime suppliers can contribute and commit. These projects and associated campaigns are developed to: 1, create awareness of one or more prevalent sustainability issues in the industry. 2, research and identify available, environmentally sound, and often cost-effective solutions and alternatives to the problem, and where applicable, including them in our SAVE Solutions Directory. 3, raise awareness within the industry about the importance of adopting one of the available solutions. 4, push key industry actors in the maritime supply chain to change the status quo through official commitment. And 5, but not least, ensure consistent and thorough accountability in order to see progress. The first stream of work that was developed by the IMPA SAVE Council has been the now well-known IMPA SAVE campaign against single-use plastic drinking water bottles on board vessels. And this will be the subject of many of today's sessions too. We developed this because the team wanted to start with a small project, a small one that can have a huge impact regardless. We realized that there are alternatives out there that are not only more sustainable, but also more economical in the long term. We made sure to make these solutions available to everyone in the industry wishing to make a change. We made sure we made information and knowledge around the topic available to everyone. And finally, we made this into an actual pledge. Purchasers and suppliers able to join together and act, the former to pledge removal from their own vessels, the latter to raise awareness and supply more sustainable solutions. There is a role to play by everyone. And fast forward to today, it seems this initiative has become more like a movement. Close to 100 companies have joined now, persuaded to change the status quo. And the road ahead of us is filled with many other projects. But I won't say much more about this campaign now, and I will invite Paolo Magonio on stage, member of the IMPA SAVE Council, representing actually the very first IMPA SAVE pledger to have removed single-use plastic drinking water bottles on board the company's fleet, to talk not only about where we are with SAVE, but also about why changing is essential. Thank you.
Okay, allow me, first of all, good morning, everyone. Allow me 2 seconds to set up the stage. I'm not a magician. I'm not going to make any... So, I'm going to try to show exactly what we're talking about here and where we are in the initiatives, right? So you see something today here on stage which is trying to impact a little bit and hit your imagination and your understanding of what is happening on the ships which are compliant, which has reduced plastic, and on the ships which hasn't. So, first of all, as Jasmine said, this initiative has been a very good success until now. So we need to thank and to say thank you to ship owners, which has pledged, which has started taking action, and we need to thank suppliers, which has followed on their own pledge and helping all of us in the community to get where we are today. On the other side, that there is also still a long way to go before we get to zero plastic on ships. This was just an initiative. We started tackling plastic water because it was a big number, easy to address. We managed to find solutions. We managed to find the right spirit into the community to go in the right direction. So I have a few slides. I will just move in just so you understand. But first of all, when we're talking about the ships with plastic, this is a 365 bottles. This is just the plastic produced by one single seafarer on one of our ships. There are 1.2 million seafarers. That means today, the maritime industry is buying, consuming, and disposing a huge amount of plastics. Roughly 1 million, 1.2 million, 1.5 million maybe, according to the figures. Some vessels, they use 1.5 liters per person per day, some goes up to 2.1, but still the number is there, and the number in itself is not really that important. But to give you a figure, it's 1 million plastic bottles per day, like this, that ship suppliers in this room buy, store, sell, and ship owners like us buy, consume, dispose. Now, don't get it wrong. Disposal of plastic, waste disposal on board is really, really accurate. There is proper segregation, there is proper handling on shore. The big problem is that we don't know what is happening on shore. We are landing bottles today in one country, the day after in another country. Some companies can manage their own waste disposal. If you are running bulkers or tankers on the spot, you don't know where you're going to be the day after. And you still need to dispose ashore of the waste. So what is happening with this waste? Even in countries which has proper stream and management of waste, there is still issues. There is still a whirl of wind, which will take one of your bottles to the side of the road and then to the next river stream and then down to the river and down to the ocean. So that bottle is still going to be there. Willingly? No. Have we made all possible in order to avoid that? Maybe yes. The only thing we could do is avoid having that bottle produced, consumed, stored, sold. So if you take our ships today, if you take the general ships today with that type of consumption, you're talking a number between 10 and 12,000 plastic bottles per year. You can see what the cost is. You need to associate the cost of transporting, storing, lifting, storing on board those bottles. Not just the cost in dollars, but also the cost in terms of emissions. All these activities, from the production down to getting on the ships, are generating carbon emissions. And then the waste, because despite compacting it, you're still talking about 13,000 bottles in this case, and 400 kilos of plastics. It's 4 cubic meters. So it's a huge amount of plastic which is impacting in the environment. This is the other situation where we were talking about before. Just with one reverse osmosis filtering machine. It doesn't matter the technology, it doesn't matter the brand. IMPA and the council is not pushing any specific brand, but what is important is the concept. You turn this into this. In terms of cost, if you put everything together, one of the machines is producing 250 liters, then you still need some water to be kept on board for emergency situation and for visitors. We are fully clear. When the ship is approaching Suez and the canal pilot is jumping on board, is not going to drink water from a glass produced from the machine. It's cultural. It's normal. You will not do it. You're jumping on the ship, you don't know exactly what the ship is, you don't know exactly what the pipes conditions are, you will not trust the fact that there is a filtering machine, where is the water coming from. There's no time for having that discussion, so you still need to have a quantity of packed water on the vessel. You can keep that packed water in plastics, but you can then turn that small amount of water from a type of packing into another type of packing. Is the ultimate solution? No. Is it better than plastics? In some way, yes. It is good for the environment. Maybe yes, maybe no. There is points. The Tetra Pak of today is not the same Tetra Pak which was 5 years ago. Today you have a sugarcane PET, you have recyclable aluminum, the cardboard is coming from responsible paper and then is going to be recycled. There are, and we will listen today, also ways of recycling in a proper way Tetra Pak, not just in the paper mills, but sending it to proper sorting. So you still have a bit of a certain quantity, but again, we're talking about moving from 12,000 to 1,000. And you can easily afford a slightly higher cost for the alternative packing. You can go for aluminum, you can go for Tetra Pak, you can go for something else, but you can move from here to there, from a less sustainable packing to a more sustainable packing, by the way, reducing the quantity from 12,000 to 1,000, because the other 11,000 are produced by the machine or the machines, depending on the size of vessel, depending on the configuration. Transportation is massively reduced in terms of CO2 emission, in terms of cost, in terms of lifting, in terms of storing, and obviously also the amount of the output of waste from the vessel is really, in this size, we're talking about probably corresponding amount. We're talking about 1,000 versus 12,000. We're talking about 2 versus 300. That's to give you the visual. This is the ratio between the two. So if you do the maths, you're talking in general about a difference between $7,300 of cost today of a vessel which is using this and is polluting a lot, and $5,920 or $6,000, make it round, for a vessel which is going for this type of configuration. So there was a question before, there will be a question during the day. Why waiting? Why not? There is a large participation into the pledging. There is a good participation into turning the pledging into action. It is true the pledging is by 2025 we reduce plastics. But if we have the solution now in front of us, why waiting? Let me explain you this. It's anonymized, of course. It's a company I really care for. And I'll try to speak loud. If you don't hear me well, let me know. 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Oh, thank you. So provision water. This is water for the crew. This is the 1 bottle per person per day. Dark orange, what we call slop chest bonded water. This is the water which is kept on board for visitors. When we started installing filtering machines, this is what's happened to the purchasing of provision water. This is still the bonded water. Our decision first was, let's address the crew. Let's address the crew from an education point of view, from an information point of view. Let's get them on board in understanding that the solution which was presented was equal, or at this point even better, than the water they were getting in plastic. The quality of the water is better. The quality of the water is controlled. One day you take water in Suez. The other day you take water in Rotterdam. When you are in France, you take Perrier. When you are in Italy, you take San Pellegrino. But when you are in Suez, you get Nile water. Not literally, but it's called Nile water. Is it Nile water? Maybe. What is the quality of it? Where the water was sitting before coming on board has been sitting 12 hours at 45 degrees on the pier. That's the issue. So the crew managed to accept the solution and then actually embraced it. Every crew member is going on board with his logo stainless steel flask. Not showing the logo, that's not ours, but it's just one I picked up this morning from a colleague. So this is the provision water over the last few years. The gray line is number of ships multiplied by number of crew multiplied by number of days per month. So this area here is plastic bottled water which disappeared from production. That water was supposed to be produced. It doesn't exist, has not been produced, at least not for this company. Then, when we started the initiative about replacing the slop chest water with cartons, this is what is happening over the last few months. So this gray area is going to hit the dark orange area slowly, persistently over the next few months. And the target is to get down to zero by the end of this year. Of course, you have exceptions. You have ships which are sitting on the road doing storage. They cannot use the evaporator, therefore they cannot produce water. Then we will consume plastic water or we will consume carton water. That's a matter of choice. But what you see here is happening, could happen today to each and every fleet, and is actually, as you have seen before, is generating savings. So you have today ship suppliers, you have today the ability to get those machines produced. To produce one of those machines, you have less emission than to produce these 12,000 staff per year. You only change the filters and dispose of the filters, but the filters are inside there. It's 6 cartridges, which are smaller than 6 plastic bottles. So the amount of emissions from one solution to the other is enormous, the difference between the two. So it is possible. It can be done. It's cost-saving. Carton water is now available in Mexico, US, Holland, Norway, soon in South Africa, already in Singapore, UAE, from different brands. Again, the IMPA SAVE brand is simply an initiative we have taken together in order to make more palatable and bring it closer to the industry. Whatever carton water, you can get carton water in Korea, you can get carton water in Japan, Norway, etc., as I said. So the solution is there. And we need, and we are here as a council to help anyone which want to go through this transition and needs help in understanding how to manage the crew, which seems to be today the bigger issue for everyone. But the acceptance of crew is quite immediate. I mean, do not underestimate, do not think that this is going to be difficult. And from the ship supplier side, the ship suppliers need to understand that plastic is not going to be around for long. Can we do it faster in the maritime industry? And one would say, why? Because in the end, the plastic consumption of maritime is a small, tiny fraction of the entire plastic consumption of the world. So why doing it? Why doing it today? Let's wait for the regulations to come. Let's wait for the plastic ban to come. Let's wait for the deposit to come. We could sit and wait. We have decided not to, and we want to do whatever is possible to help and to solicit the maritime community to take the right steps. Whatever we do for the waste disposal is not enough. We're not going to control it. As we said at the beginning, one of these bottles will end up in the ocean. Removing plastic is a fantastic initiative, removing it from beach, removing it from the sea. Big credits to Maersk for what they're doing with their initiative. But it's going to take us ages. When you enter into your apartment or your house and there is water up to your knees, the first thing you do, you close the tap. Stop the water. Stop the plastic from production. And if we could do it in the maritime industry, let's do it. Ship suppliers, a lot can be done in your community. A self-ban. Promote water in alternative packing to your customers, even if they don't want it. I mean, don't sit back and just read the requisition. Oh, the requisition is saying 200 plastic bottles, so I'm supplying plastic because they ask for plastics. And if I quote for something different, which is going to be slightly more expensive, I'm going to lose the order. I would not be comfortable with this approach. I mean, this is sitting back and waiting for the change to come from somewhere else. We need to be part of the change. Also because one of these is still, even if you dispose it in the right way, segregate it, put it in the yellow box and deliver it to the barge, by a swirl of wind, by a storm into the plant in Malaysia where it's being stored, is going to end up in the ocean. It's going to stay there for 10 years, for 20 years. And it's going to come back in the salmon fillet your grandchild will get in 20 years. Can I remove this bottle? I will. And I'm saying, why waiting? Why waiting? Thank you.